Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Dame and this is Dame Over, and today we've had some news come through about what to expect with patches to Battlefield 5 in February. There's been some very exciting news revealed today about bug fixes and improvements and some workarounds to current issues as well. So I'll take you through everything that's been told to us so far so you know what to expect this month. So if you find this video useful or entertaining, make sure you've hit that like button. And if you're new around here and you want to keep up to date with even more Battlefield 5 content, then make sure you hit the subscribe button too. And we'll start with the most important stuff first. And today we've had news come through about the Battlefield 5 known issues list and something else which I think is absolutely amazing, the Battlefield 5 quality of life commitment. This comes all in the form of a post written by Jeff Braddock, the community manager for Battlefield, giving us the details on how DICE and EA are dealing with the known issues, bugs, and the appropriate fixes, how they prioritize them, and it also gives us a list of the top 9 issues along with an estimated time frame for each fix as well. Now this document is pretty long and will be updated on a regular basis, so I've linked it down in the description if you want to check it out for yourself, and I'd recommend bookmarking it so you can come back and review anything that's new later on. Firstly, let's have a chat about the quality of life commitment, and it's kind of like a very short open letter to the Battlefield community. I've screenshotted some of it here so you can see it for yourself, but essentially it outlines that they are listening to us and are trying to implement the improvements as soon as possible. The data and information that we're giving them as the players of the game is integral to them being able to fix the problems that are occurring. At the bottom of the page, they outline the importance of giving as much information as possible if you do encounter a problem. It essentially comes down to the more information they have about the issues in game, the quicker and more accurately they'll be able to fix them. So if you have experienced any issues in Battlefield 5 that you'd like to bring to the attention of the developers, then like I said before, I'd bookmark the page, click the link at the bottom and head over to the EA Answers HQ portal to detail the problems that you're having in Battlefield 5. And as always, don't forget to tweet the guys that are appropriate. Jakob Ajmel, Florian, Dan Mitra, and Jeff Braddock are the guys you should be trying to communicate with. They're excellent at getting back to the community and at least responding to you, even if the problems you outline might take a while to be fixed themselves. So how are DICE and EA identifying issues and then communicating that information to us? Well, there are 5 steps that they use in identifying problems and then telling us, the players, about it. First of all, there is the identification process. They use all of the information they can gather to work out how best to deal with the problem. This involves getting information from lots of sources, as they explain here. It's not limited to social channels, the customer support team, the community itself, internal bug trackers, etc, etc. There's a lot of information they need to get from lots of different sources and to work through to work out exactly how to recode things so they can fix the known issues, which, as you can imagine, is a bit of a lengthy process. They need to get the fix right first time, otherwise they're just going to create more problems. Secondly, they prioritize things by working out the severity of the problem. They do this by working out the number of players that are affected. Obviously, the more players that are affected by one problem in one go, the higher up the priority list it will bump the issue. The next step is to prioritize it by the impact it has to the system. So that includes things like the economy, retention, so that means staying in the game and playing it more, and also the game experience itself. There are a few other factors that they haven't specifically outlined as well. Thirdly, there are the weekly syncs. So that's a meeting between the community and the development teams where they bring up the issues that have been brought to their attention and work out what they're going to do first. And this is where they start to provide us with some more information by establishing a timeline on when each fix might be able to go live. And step 4 is where things get very interesting for us as the players, as that's when the developers give us some insight on what's happening and what they're going to be prioritizing for each patch and each week. And that's when we get a proper ETA on the proposed fixes. And finally, when that issue is solved, we're told about it so that we're all aware as players of the game that that particular problem has been dealt with. Now, I'm sure lots of you guys have speculated on how DICE and EA have been dealing with the incredible number of complaints they've been getting since the launch of Battlefield 5. And again, I'm sure some of you have guessed correctly in their process dealing with all of those bug fixes and internal problems. And what's nice for them to actually do is outline it and give us a clear communication on how they deal with things. So there's no ambiguity anymore. Lots of the complaints, tweets, and things that get written in the forums sometimes seem to fall on deaf ears. But now we know exactly how each of these issues is going to be dealt with, and also it gives us an insight into what it would take from the community to make some of the bigger problems with Battlefield 5 get the attention we feel like they really need. For instance, the max rank company coins accrual and the Tides of War mission requirements not tracking is something that we point out on the page as well. These 2 issues were huge and got a lot of attention from the community, with thousands upon thousands of of tweets, posts on the forums, videos being made by YouTubers, and a hell of a lot of blog posts as well. So if there is something that you guys feel needs to be fixed sooner rather than later, make sure you're getting your friends, other players of the game, and the rest of the community to join in with you, because the more people that are talking about the same issues, the higher up the priority list it will go. So I mentioned before that we've got some information about the known issues list and what's going to be fixed in February. Let me talk you through what those are very quickly. We've got number one. This is something that's affecting all platforms, and it's the loading screen hanging between map loads. And here's what they had to say about it. DICE are trying to reproduce this issue internally so they can work out how it's happening and therefore how to avoid it. Like they explain here, it's proving very difficult to recreate the exact problem, therefore making it almost impossible to work out how to fix it. The irony here is that in a few paragraphs above, they talked about giving us a timeline and when these things would be fixed. But anyway, it's not the first time that we've essentially been told you'll have to wait. It's something that's going to happen very soon. Anyway, with this particular issue, they don't yet have a status update, but they're going to keep us in the loop. Secondly, again, it's affecting all platforms. The end of round screen isn't reporting the correct amount of company coins that you gain. Unfortunately, again, they don't yet have a fix for it internally, but we're going to be given more information as soon as possible. Next up is the issue with the Tiger Tank skin not unlocking after collecting all of the letters in the single player campaign. Now, this is something that's been happening for quite a while now, and again affects players on all platforms. The issue is still being investigated and to what is causing it exactly, but there is a possible workaround, which I have again posted in the description. They say it might be possible to obtain it by following the instructions in the link. So head over to that if you are still struggling to get the Tiger Tank skin and you think you should have it. I've labeled it in the description as Tiger Tank skin workaround, so let me know if that works out for you. Next up is the first gameplay issue on the list, again affecting all platforms, and that is ammo crates and health crates falling through the floor. Thankfully, there is a fix for this particular problem. Well, what they actually say is they think they have a fix for it. Not really the best way to inspire confidence in the community. Anyway, this fix is still being tested and is pending a February release. Now for a big issue that's happening on PlayStation 4 since the second January update that was released on the 29th, and it's to do with performance issues on Panzer Storm. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, Panzer Storm had a big overhaul the other day. There were lots of changes to the environment to make it more infantry friendly. I made a video about it the other day, so if you want to check out the details of that, make sure you go and check out that video. But anyway, those guys that play on PlayStation 4, this has unfortunately resulted in some performance issues. There have been huge frame drops occurring at seemingly random intervals, along with lots of other issues as well. And what they've asked for here on the page is that if any players know how to force the issues, that they could please reach out so they can get to the bottom of the issue faster. Unfortunately for you guys on PS4, this looks like a problem that's going to be sticking around for quite a while. Sixth on the list is players getting stuck in a downed state when they're being revived by someone that gets killed during the revive process. Again, this is on all platforms, and they are trying to track this issue to fix it, but unable to force it internally. And again, have asked if there's anyone that can reproduce the problem with 100% success to let them know. So make sure if you do have this particular issue happen to you, which they say is actually pretty rare, then you post it in the forums and tweet, etc. etc. Number 7 is again an issue that's happening relatively occasionally. Players are spawning in without being able to see their weapons. They're still able to fire them, but their upper body is invisible on the client side. Again, if you've got any information about this and any data, then please do share it as soon as you can. And second to last on the list is one issue that I imagine is going to take quite a bit of time to fix. So after that second update in January for lightning strikes, the one that came on the 29th, there have been a large number of ping spikes that have been happening. And DICE and EA have asked here that we as the community need to give them as much information as possible. They particularly want to know what country you're playing from, what servers you're connecting to, and to make sure you're ensuring your internet service provider is not having any routing issues and that your equipment is not affected by any interference. There's the suggestion to use a wired connection rather than Wi-Fi as it's more stable. And they are also aware that in regions like South Africa, the Middle East, and other Asian countries, there's a lack of Xbox One players playing Battlefield 5 in particular. So those players will have to play in regions that are much further away and will therefore have bad ping as a result. They're trying to mitigate this a bit by starting an initiative that will encourage players in those regions to play the game at the same time. Now, I can't imagine how that's actually going to work logistically, but I guess they're thinking about it. And finally, on the known issues list, now that the company coins accrual has been fixed, they're going to re-enable the ability to purchase past Tides of War weapons rewards that you couldn't get anymore because the chapter has closed. So finally, those of you guys that didn't have enough company coins because you weren't getting the ones that you were owed, you can now go back and purchase the weapons you might have missed out on. This is a fix that is on all platforms, and they're looking in rolling it out at some time during February, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for any more news on that one. So it looks like we're going to see another big update in February, maybe even more than one. Jakub Ajmal told us that the patch notes are already 7 pages long, and I imagine that they're going to get longer as time goes on too. It's nice to see that DICE are committing themselves to improving Battlefield 5. Having a public document with statements as strong as they've made is pretty encouraging as far as their quality of life and improvements to gameplay go. You would have expected with Tides of War being a live service that it needs some constant updating, and there are always going to be continuous problems, and with the addition of new weapons, new game types and other aspects to the game, it's always going to be an uphill battle for the developers. But if the patches in January are anything to go by, it looks like Battlefield 5 is finally on the up and up. At this point, I'd still say it's not finished enough to really warrant a full release, but we're getting far closer to the product that we were promised before the launch. And I, for one, am having a much better time in game as well. I want to know what you guys think. How do you feel about the Battlefield quality of life commitment? Have you experienced any of the bugs that are pointed out in the video? Are there any others that you really feel need to be fixed as soon as possible? Make sure you let me know what you think down in the comments below. And here's a quick thank you to those of you guys that are helping to support the channel through Patreon, my Dame Operatives. It's because of you guys that I can keep the channel running, and hopefully I'll be able to do it full time in the future with a little bit more support. So if you want to become a patron yourself, there's a link in the description and the pinned comment where if you'd like to, you can help support the channel from as little as $1 a month. So if you had a good time, make sure you've hit the like button. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button too. Don't forget the bell button for notifications so you don't miss any future posts. And as always, share this video wherever you like. And until next time, that's Dame over. Peace.